year too. Jason will be around, as will the rest of us. I'm going to chat more and really dig in deep to anything you said. We can do it over beers at the end of this. All right? Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. Joining last is awesome because I get to kind of reiterate what they say and sound really smart. Let's see. Marketing is fun. Wrote that down. 5 things. I forgot what those were, but do those. Here's my one thing. Snowflakes. Don't let anybody else know outside this room. For the holidays, take your normal creative and put snowflakes on it. It'll crush it. That's all I got. All right, so there's some more notes I took that are awesome. So we sell window treatments in the home that are custom. So we have to have a human being go to someone's house. God knows where their house is. You might have dogs and kids. They have to measure. They're there for 3 hours, and then they sell them custom window treatments, and we try to get it to them in 3 days. It's ridiculous. So if you think about our marketing challenges, it's thousands of dollars. It's not a consumer product, so a month later I can't say, hey, it's time for more window treatments. No retail stores. We closed our last one in December. So can't do anything with retail stores. No e-commerce. We don't sell anything online, which means we're not nationwide. And there's no immediate gratification. If someone comes to our site, they have to sign up for an appointment. Someone has to drive to their house. Then we give them a proposal. They might buy that day. They might buy a week later. Then that information has to go back to our system and tell everything else that something happened. So, for all intents and purposes, the worst job on the planet. So, 3 years ago, Creative Lines is a 40-year-old company. And 3 years ago, I started there, and I was asked by the owners of the company to take it out of our people. And what we did is we decided to call ourselves a technology. So we deployed technology to get out of dark ages. And when I got there, we had data that was very specific to 2 channels, direct mail and paid search. And you guys are all marketers, so understand this. If we sent someone a direct mail piece, we had their address. So if they purchased, regardless of anything else, we attributed it to direct mail, even if they can't complete it. So you can imagine what kind of disaster that was, because everyone was like, spend more money on direct mail, it's the best thing ever. But it was getting 100% attribution. So now we do less than 1% direct mail, and we do it automated through database marketing, and we send 50 pieces a day of postcards. So where we are now is now we understand the consumer path. Another thing is, and talking about persona marketing, when I started, they said, yeah, our customers are 60 years old and they're retired. I'm like, well, that's good for doing 80% direct mail. So we started to market, and the way that personas are typically looked at are indexed to the average, right? So Tyler looks at personas differently, the right way. But typically agencies look at personas as female 35 plus that drive BMWs and shop at Nordstrom, which coincidentally is every customer on the planet. That's the best customer. They make a lot of money and they spend it. So personas are terrible. And we didn't, if you do it the wrong way, if you do it the right way, personas are great. But I've worked in a lot of industries, and we call her Kathy. Some people call her Jen or Deborah or whatever it is, but it's the same person. Wealthy, 35-year-old, traveling, shops at Nordstrom's, female, she makes decisions, she buys stuff. But I said, we're going to just target people who own homes, period. If you own a home, you have windows. If you don't have Windows, we're not interested. So we really started to learn, and coincidentally, the age of our customer and the demographic changed when we started changing our marketing. Because we were doing things, and one of the things I learned from the field, from our design consultants that are out there going to homes, and they're employees, they're not contractors or franchises. They're like, Dan, you know, I don't like how you guys are marketing, because it used to be I'd go to someone's house and they were like, hey, yeah, we've heard of 3-day blinds. And now people's never heard of us. I'm like, that's awesome. You get to like make a customer out of someone who's never even heard of us. That's amazing. They never understood how cool I was. So, that was the best part. That was the best compliment I got, was that we're actually reaching people that have never heard of us. So where we're going is really to understand the customer and use the data we have, because frankly we have tremendous data. We're in their home. We know what their plans are. We know if they're having children or if the children are moving out. So we're collecting data right now that is going to be enormously powerful for us moving forward, and we're setting up to use that in ways that we never have. And frankly, our competition in the category is far behind. So, all right. Prospecting. Someone searches a generic search, right? Non-brand, not 3-day blinds. They're looking for blinds. We treat them obviously very different than we treat someone who's looking for 3-day blind. These are some examples of some ads. This dude over here can't get rid of him. I don't want to say ladies love him, because I can't really say who clicks on him. That dude with his like giant guns, like installing, it's incredible. Throw a snowflake on that. So obviously we do prospecting. We try different, we test. We do everything imaginable, from different channels and different creative and different messaging and different offers. Coincidentally, one of the things that we really think about is the messaging and the experience of the consumer from the first time they see our ad until they come to our site, pick up the phone, or fill out a form. And one thing that a lot of people, I think, confuse with messaging and experience is imagery and consistency. It's not the same thing. If you think you need the same consistent imagery and look and feel and color, don't do that, because I guarantee you, if you test, you're going to find that that's not always the case. In fact, most of the time it's not. All right, branding. 3-day blinds, wood blind. Very specific. We change the experience. They go to a very specific page that is wood blind related. And we have different landing pages. We have hundreds of landing pages that we test all the time. And really tiny phone numbers, as small as can be. I'm going to test that. But we use a testing that rhymes with schmoptimizely. And invoke us so we can. Does everyone understand how it works? Real quick. So if you're testing landing pages but you're not testing the phone numbers, then you're missing a big piece of it. 70% of our business comes from phone calls. So we really rely heavily on retargeting. And the reason why retargeting is so important to us, even though we're not an e-commerce site, is really that. If they come to our site, they're not coming to our site every month. They're coming to our site because they're interested in window treatments today. You don't shop for window treatments like you would go to Nordstrom or something and say, hey, I wonder if they have blue blazers on sale this week. You're in the mindset for window treatments and you want to buy. So we're very specific the way we handle retargeting. We do it in so many ways. It's hard to explain how many ways we do retargeting, but we don't retarget bouncers. So if you come to our site and you leave after seeing one page, we don't retarget you. If you come back more over a certain period of time, we accelerate how often we bug you. And If you're on for long periods of time and see lots of pages and that's accelerated over a period of time, then we just are nonstop bombarding you with everything, including direct mail and perhaps some other things. Well, so this is how we do it. We buy a bunch of stuff and draw arrows. But really, you can imagine 3 years ago, we didn't have this ecosystem built. It was kind of a disaster. We didn't have analytics deployed correctly. We didn't have a disciplined, well-organized process that was documented and followed by everybody. Al, I believe you said in marketing, it's hard to do. That's what you said. And it's right, it's hard to do because you have to be disciplined and you have to make sure that everyone understands what is going on, that they're repeating the process and everyone's talking the same language. When it comes to attribution, you can't have one person using U-shaped and another person using last touch and talk about success of a campaign. It doesn't make sense. So the way to really be successful is to document the process, to get everyone on board, use the same language, and if you're ever going to change it, which you can, it has to be a conversation that everyone understands, and then you change it. So, just real quick, I'm not going to get into specifics, but basically, we deploy tons of technology to the entire process. From before we capture a lead, during, and after. Capturing a lead for us could be on our website, or it could be the agent on the phone gets a pop-up, and they fill out the information, go into our database. And depending on the number of variables, we do some stuff with that. So, getting someone on the phone is really important. And it was at the beginning of this year that I determined we need to act more like a telemarketing company than a window treatment company. The sale begins on the phone. We do get a lot of people filling out the form and then scheduling their appointment online, which is great for a lot of reasons, but for a bunch of other reasons, it's much better to get them on the phone. They might have questions about the 17 different product lines we have, how long it's going to take, and, does it really take 3 days to get blinds, and do you have this fabric, can you match the color of my couch, or whatever it might be. That you can't do that online. So it's very important that we focus on the phone calls. And we use Invoca to really get the data we need to make smart decisions. And it's really interesting. I'll give you one little study that we did that was fun. Was how many people clicked on a paid search term, came to our site, and never converted to an appointment online. Meaning they came to our site and they called only. Because over a period of time, it's going to be fairly rare. We have hundreds of thousands of keywords, but we found like 7 keywords. People came to our site and never booked an appointment online. They only called. We spent about $5,000 per clicks, and we made about $47,000 in revenue off those clicks that never converted online. So if you were only looking at online conversions from click to appointment, you would not spend money on those keywords. Because we track the phone calls the way we do, we bid up those keywords. And the information, by the way, it's not just click to conversion to appointment. A sale could happen weeks later, and that data goes back to Invoca and back to our bidding system. Attribution. I know it's, everyone's tired of talking about attribution, but it's really the key to making smart decisions and spending your money wisely. We acquired a competitor in Chicago recently, and we asked them how they knew this particular coupon magazine worked so well. And they said, well, it's obvious. When we go to their home, it's often on the counter. And, no, we can't use that attribution method because that's not how things really work. And they said, well, actually, we also really rely on what the customer tells us. And I'm like, well, that's fascinating. How's that work? So on the form, they ask the customer, how did you hear of us? And they have a whole list of possible ways the customer heard: radio, TV, print, internet, Google, Facebook, every possible thing you can imagine. So we put analytics in place. Just simple last touch analytics to see what was happening. And, for Facebook and Google, it was about 12%. Now keep in mind, this is someone who just clicked on a Facebook ad or just clicked on a keyword in Google. About 12% picked Facebook or Google. So 88% of people picked something other than what they actually just did. So,
Wow.
yeah, bad attribution. Dynamic phone number insertion, it's really the way to go. If you're getting phone calls, you have to do it. It changes the way you look at data, and it changes the way you spend money, and you're going to spend money more efficiently. Or more importantly, you're going to spend more money. All right, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. Do we understand? What's the name of this again? There's the name of the product? Call intelligence.
Okay.
You need to leverage call intelligence for marketing domination. So we dynamically generate, we don't, Invoca does for us, phone numbers for a paid search, so we know exactly what keyword generated a phone call. Again, 70% of our business is phone calls. Hugely important. We can track it back to a sale. So revenue of that sale goes back into the system. Invoca sees that, and we can actually make determinations on what a keyword is worth based on revenue. So obviously, hugely important. Has to be done. And I think it's the majority of people doing paid search and answering phones are not doing it. So we also track phone calls. All of our digital campaigns are tracked through Invoca. For Facebook, we do the same thing. So if someone clicks on a Facebook ad, comes to our site, they call, a sale happens weeks later, it goes back into our PMD and Facebook. And so we actually know that a specific click from an ad led to a phone call and a sale. So again, otherwise, if you're just relying on Facebook tracking or pixels, you're only getting half the picture, or maybe less than half the picture, because there's a lot of phone calls happening. So, again, tracking every phone call back to the source and the revenue associated with it. So best practices. I didn't write snowflakes on here because that's kind of a secret thing, but say that. Holistic view. Again, this is it's hard to do part. Like, it has to be a procedure, a process, a culture. People have to understand analytics. I like the idea of hiring math people and teaching them marketing, because that is the basis for any good marketing team. Asset management. Understand your content, your customer, how they interact with it, what's important to them, when it's important to them. Have brand guidelines so everyone understands what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say. And, we test the sequence of how we speak to people, because it's really important, and we understand that they're going to act differently when they first think about buying window treatments and when they're ready to pull the trigger. And then at the end of the day, you need clean data. And one of the things I do that drives my team nuts is I go into Google Analytics or whatever. Adobe Analytics. Whatever analytics platform you're using. And I look for errors or misspellings. And I bring it up in meetings and it drives me nuts. But I'm like, look, it affects things. Anyway, visibility and having pure data is really key. So let me end by trying to read my notes. Oh, I have an optimization manager. You made me think of that. I actually have someone who's in charge of optimization, and they're in charge of making sure everyone on the team optimizes stuff. Because when you say, hey everyone, optimize stuff, test stuff, they're like, cool. And then you're like, what test did you do? And they're like, well, yesterday we thought about doing something. So we actually have like an optimization czar that requires testing. She's kind of, I made her that because she's kind of gnarly. She's very serious. Let's see. Talk about persona marketing. And honestly, this is, I can't believe how that's writing. I haven't thought I could read that. All right, I think I'm done. This is, I think later on we can do questions.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.